and welcome to our second episode of Fueling Ingenuity, Creative Industries, and the Creative Economy, presented by the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce Cultural Council in partnership with
Broward Cultural Division and Destination Sistrum. A little bit about our sponsor, Broward Cultural Division. So Broward Cultural Division enhances the community's cultural environment through the development of the arts. And upon recommendation by the Broward Cultural Council, they provide following services such as arts funding, grants, call to artists for public artists, seminars for arts as entrepreneurs, professional development, and community engagement workshops. So thank you to the Broward Cultural Division. And I'm your host, Taina Darabille. I'm the Director of Arts and Communication at Fab Village, Director of Arts Administration and Community Engagement at Fab Village, pardon me. And Fab Village is a nonprofit, and it's an inclusive arts district whose purpose is to promote the creation, exhibition, curation, research, and education of emerging contemporary artists. It's honestly such a privilege to be here. I'm so excited for today's talk. Today's episode is Unsung Leaders in Business, Community, and Education. So today we're going to be talking about why are artists and art educators the unsung leaders? You know, as art educators, they are the whole package. You know, they do social media, business plans, but it's still so hard to reach. Pardon me. It's hard. It's hard to reach folks. So today's guest, Darius Daughtry, is a poet, teaching artist, founder of Art Prevails Project. And we also have Jared Corey, who is a visual artist, teaching artist, and also a Broward Public School educator. We are moderated today by Jody Jeffries Tanner, who is the founder and curator of Las Olas Capital Arts. So if you can join me in welcoming Jody Jeffries Tanner to the stage. Thank you. So I'm going to head out, and Jody will welcome her first guest.
So hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. This series is really important to us as a cultural community, cultural arts with the Chamber, with the Broward County, because we are trying to find out ways to reach out to the community, reach out to everyone to show you how important the arts community is for the creative economy here in Broward County, the state, the world. So I'm really thrilled to be here. When I was asked to do moderate this today, of course, I wanted to jump at the chance. So, but when you talk about artists that you want to come on stage and talk about what they do, it's a tough call because Broward County, we have amazing artists here. We have visual artists, musical artists, spoken word artists. We have dancers, theater. So it's something that's really important for us to realize that it takes everyone in this community to bring this arts community together. So with that being said, I'm excited today because as Taina said, and thank you, Taina, we have two fantastic special guests today. I'm going to ask them questions separately. So the first one will be Darius Daughtry. The second one will be Jared Corey. But I want to welcome to the stage my friend and yours, Darius Daughtry. Hello, my friend. Woohoo.
Hey, Jody, what's happening?
Hey, it's all good, my friend. It's all good. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastically well. How about you?
I'm good and well. I'm very happy to see that our world is opening up again, and it's a good thing.
Slowly but surely.
It's a good thing. Slowly but surely,
Absolutely.
Carefully, safely. It's all that. So I just want to tell you a couple of minutes about Las Olas Capital Arts. So my not-for-profit is a local organization that I kind of built out of a business that my husband and I have. And what we do is we support local and emerging artists. And with that, I mean, I'll choose an artist, a local artist, a visual artist, and not only choose them by how I feel about their art, but how they give back to the community. And it's really important for these artists and everyone to give back to the community in some way. It's not for me to judge how they give back. It's just it is for me to say, you know what, thank you for giving back. So that's how I give back to the community. Artists will showcase their art at Las Olas Capital Arts, which is located at 888 East Las Olas, which is in my business, my husband and I's business, Las Olas Capital Advisors. And they will showcase for 4 months. And during those 4 months, we do the marketing, we do promotion, we do, usually before last year, we had a live event, a big event, which 200 people plus. Now, with these times, we're going to have smaller events, but we showcase their art on our walls for 4 months. And then if they happen to sell pieces, which every artist has, they collect 100% of the proceeds. So that's really a great thing, I think. And I think it's a really good business model for not only me, but just any businesses, any corporations out there to literally embrace the arts community. So I encourage the businesses, the corporations, small businesses, large ones to do the same thing. It's really easy to do. And I think if you want to help the arts community and support it, that's the way to go. So with that, I'm going to go start off with you, Darius. So you are amazing. So for you guys, most of you probably know, I think, Darius is an amazing spoken word artist. He's a director. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about what he does. So I could probably go on for days about what he does. So Darius, let us know what you're doing.
What do I do? So I, as mentioned by the fabulous Jody, I'm a poet, playwright, director, educator, teaching artist. I am a founder and the executive artistic director of Art Prevails Project, which is a local. So actually, I was in a meeting today, and they're trying to get nonprofit leaders to move away from using the term nonprofit. And so I'll say I'm an impact organization leader.
Like it.
So Art Prevails Project. So what we do is we work to cultivate and create community through storytelling, arts education, performance, and just community building. That's what I am. Recently part of an amazing exhibit. The Porch is the Tree is a Watering Hole, which is at the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. So that's what I do.
All right. So y'all, we're going to have some questions for Darius after a couple questions I have for him, but, call in, text, go call in your Facebook, and we're on Facebook, I think, and YouTube. So text in your
blow up the chat. Blow the chat up.
Pull up the chat.
Give some questions.
Give some love.
Yes.
So, during this time, our new normals, things have changed, how we do business, how we deliver business services, how we live, how we educate. What have you done to pivot as an artist during the hard times, this pandemic that we've been having?
Yeah. So, like most artists, I'm sure, or many things kind of came to a screeching halt for a minute, and you had to figure out to do that word which everyone was using, pivot. Like, what do I do now? How do I impact? How do I reach the communities, the people, the potential suppliers, donors, whatever it is I'm trying to reach.
Right.
So, with what I do as far as performance, but also promotion of the book that I have or my education component, I did have to lean heavy into doing things virtually. So Zoom became my best friend. I learned how to Zoom like a pro. I learned ins and outs of Instagram, which changed like every month, right? And every month it was like something new, like what are they doing? So I was able to do that. And what's interesting about that is that the amount of people that you're able to reach as opposed to what you were before, right? Because I was doing a lot of stuff, a lot of locally, some things that happened regionally. I've traveled to different states and done some work, but the fact that I was able to hop on Instagram or hop on Zoom and connect with people in Alaska and Norway and St. Thomas.
Wow, you're all worldly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So let me ask you this. So, as a businessman, you became, this is what we want to encourage these artists. We want them to take their passion and create it and make a business for themselves. That's what made you an entrepreneur for your own business. How did you start that off? How did you start when you said, I am Darius, and literally all you had to do was have that voice like butter. But how did you start this off? I mean, first there's artists out there saying, how do I get there? How do I just kind of give an edge?
Yeah. So what's interesting is like I consider that I have kind of two businesses. I have the business as myself, me as an artist, as a teaching artist, as a speaker, consultant, etc. And then there's the not the impact organization that I founded. And with both of them, specifically just for me as an artist, just consider myself as my art is my thing and I'm passionate about it, but it is a business. Now, what was very pivotal for me was taking the Artist as Entrepreneur Institute that is given by the
yes.
Broward Cultural Division. That was transformative for me, right? Because I was like, yo, I don't know.
Shout out.
Right? I don't know what to charge people for this. I'm just trying to do my thing. I'm gonna do some poems and I'm gonna do a little something. But that helped me kind of see what I was doing as a viable business and to treat it as such. And so once you understand that what you are offering services and products, and you're able to really see that and see the value in what you do, and then in turn treat it as a valuable commodity and as a valuable process or service, and raise your expectations for yourself and then that others have of you, then that's when it becomes a business.
Fantastic. Let me ask you a question about you as an artist. So we know you're a poet and we know, the spoken word. How do you start that process? What comes first to you?
Oh.
How do you do that?
Whew, that's
I know.
I don't even know. Sometimes
that's going deep.
It depends. I'm inspired by so many different things. I'm inspired by what's happening today. I'm inspired by history. I'm inspired by conversations I overhear people happening. And then I am truly an artist who believes that I'm just a vessel. So because sometimes there's like the muse whispers in my ear and says this, and then next thing you know, an hour later, I've written this thing and I'm like, oh, damn, did I write that?
Right.
So I am well aware that I have been chosen, and but part of it also is to continue to wake up every day and do the work. So there is this inspiration, but there's also the actual practice of whatever that is. Just like if I was a failed athlete when I was younger, I didn't make it. Yeah, I make it. I make it to the NBA, but I was in practice every day. Like I wanted to get better, right? And so I coached basketball for a while when I was teaching.
You're disciplined. It sounds like pretty disciplined.
Right. So it is that, understanding like you may have talent, but it is, what are you doing with it? And how do you show up on a daily basis with your talent? So for me, I had to really learn that. And like, I couldn't just lean on the fact that I could turn a phrase pretty well, that I had to put the work in and, be okay with putting it out there and expressing myself.
That's fantastic. So if I were a student of yours, or, if you're doing one of your classes as an educator, how do you start that process off? I mean, how do you pull that inspiration out of the kids or out of the adults, whomever you'd be teaching? What's your like?
So I think oftentimes the first step is modeling and exhibiting. Like, I'm going to show you, what this is. I'm going to give you some of me, right? So whether it is young people or adults, seniors, whomever I work with, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a poem. I'm going to show you an example of something, right? And then my biggest thing for me when I was a teacher in Broward schools, it is centering the student. Whoever the student is, really centering them. And so it's not just about me giving you information and you doing something. It's about, okay, cool, let's connect to who you are and help bring that out of you, right? And so I have some processes where sometimes we just go kind of slowly and they don't even really know that what they're doing is creating all the tools to create this poem. They're like, oh, I don't write poetry. Okay, cool. But just, hey, list
and you're
for
like,
me.
but you do.
Right. List people that you love. And they go, okay, I can do that.
All right.
Or tell me, put some colors. Okay, I can do that. What's a song that makes you feel good?
Awesome.
Right. Those kind of things. And then we end up turning that into something.
Wow. So that's how you start the process. And I guess you could say pretty much everyone could be a poet. Everyone has their own part. Everyone has their own ways of communicating things, either through virtual or spoken or written word, things like that. So tell me about what we were talking about earlier. During this time, everyone had to kind of learn how to use social media, learn how to do Instagram, learn how to do your own websites and things. How did you help yourself do that?
Yeah, I just did it.
You're still learning, I know.
Yeah,
but
I did it. And lucky for me, I have people that are connected to me that I can lean on and say, hey, can you help me with this? Give me some ideas. Can you, and as you talk about treating this as a business, you have to invest in it, right? So, okay, do I need to pay somebody to help me do this? Do I need to get someone to help whatever it is that I'm doing. So I don't understand the ins and outs of Instagram and Facebook marketing. So, okay, hey, but I know someone who does.
You do, and we're all still learning.
Right.
I can guarantee you that.
Right.
So let me ask you this. So I want to talk about grants for a minute. Now, Broward County has a grant program, which is fantastic. And I'd encourage everyone to go on broward.org/grants, I think. Arts/arts. And then, look into the different grant programs. We have the Broward Cultural Council has, and with our leadership under Phil Dunlap, has reimagined the entire grant process right now for this coming year and moving forward. And I'd like to ask you, how do you think the process has worked for you? I mean, we all know that the grant programs are very important to help, kind of start somebody off, help them get a leg up. What do you think about the grant program and how has it helped you?
We're talking about the Broward Cultural
Division grants, yes.
Because I can go.
I know.
I can go beyond that and say some different things. All right, cool. So no. So
Broward.
The Broward. No. So for me, it was very pivotal, right? I early on, as I transitioned from an educator into doing this as a full-time business opportunity, my life career, being able to get the CIP grant and the CAEP, which is like an arts education grant, being able to get those to be able to do actual work that I was passionate about was pivotal, right? And it's like, and it actually contributed to me thinking of myself again as this working artist, right? Because here is a government entity validating the work that I'm doing and trying to do, and saying, here, we're going to give you some money to do this because we believe that what you're doing has some impact and has some validity. So that was like a great, an amazing kind of jump off point for me. And since then, they've supported things that I've done with my organization. We did, a theatrical production. They supported that, like Broward Cultural Division, they're my homies. They're my people.
They are, and you know what? And I thank you for giving them a shout out because the division is really important. The cultural division in Broward County is so necessary and such a leader in cultivating the arts and promoting artists and giving our residents and tourists this quality of life through the arts, through all those types of arts. And it's something that really the entire community needs and sometimes doesn't even realize how much they need it. We rely on local, state, national funding, personal, private funding, whatever, to help cultivate some of these programs that are, some of these grant programs are some are just individual artists, so you could get $2,000, some are $5,000, some are $7,000. Some for the organizations are much more than that, depending on what level you come in at. But I think I'm so happy that you have been a recipient of many of the grants from Broward County because you've earned it and you've deserved it. And Broward County and everyone around you realizes how hard you work and how dedicated you are to your community. And it's literally fantastic. And we all wrap our arms around you, and because it's so needed, Darius, and and it comes from your heart, and we all know that. And so I think for those of you artists, thank you. For those of you artists out there that are watching, I really encourage you to look at the grant programs because, as Darius says, it's a fantastic program. It actually will help grow you as an artist into a business slowly but surely, because you can start, right?
Yeah, and I'll say this. If you are at home and you're watching this and you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this, or it might be too much for me to try to get this, just do it. Just go ahead and try. You may or may not be a recipient, but even just going through the process of applying is going to be beneficial for you, because it forces you to think of yourself in certain ways. It forces you to create narratives around programs that you want to do. It forces you to write about yourself as an artist or write about your programs in a certain way. So just go ahead and do it, because you never know.
And that's what starts you off as a business person, is your entrepreneurship, is literally being told what you need to do. So businesses, entrepreneurs, we need to help give a leg up to people, to artists, to create or to go somewhere they didn't even know they could go. So this is, Absolutely. It pushes, it supports, it motivates, and it also is a very good business course, if you will, because anyone, as you know, when you have to write a grant application, it's tough, but it's becoming simpler to do. So anyone can actually do it. You just have to and it kind of gets you to hone in on what your own business sense is.
Absolutely.
And what you are
have to-
producing and
you have to
promoting.
create budgets and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. So like doing all of those things are everything that you have to do, because I see it now as an entrepreneur, running my own organization, and be having to create multiple budgets for programs and things. And I think about starting as someone to, applying for my first grant through the culture division, having to do that.
Right.
And that practice, it builds that entrepreneurial acumen to be able to make things happen.
And not only that, the cultural division that you guys think about applying is completely helpful. They're at your disposal. That's what they're here to help you as an artist, residents. If you have questions about any of that stuff, they're here to do that. So
Right.
I encourage you again to do all that. And
Shout out to Erica Moheim.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Shout out. Erica. I also want to shout out to Grace Cool-Durfee, who's helping promote all the stuff through our
Yes, always.
Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce Cultural Council. So this is really important. So let me ask, do we have any questions? I'm going to see if there's any questions that you guys want to
No questions.
put up here.
No questions. What
No,
y'all
they're
doing
going to
out
have a
there?
question.
What y'all doing out there?
She's looking. All right.
There's like no
So I
questions.
think I've pretty much asked a lot of questions. But also I want to say, what do you, just to kind of finalize what we're talking about, what is it that you want to do? Where do you see yourself going further? You're already shown what you can do. You've accomplished, you've gone through steps, and you're growing and growing, and your fields are getting wider and your world is getting bigger. So what else do you see in your future for Darius?
Yeah. So how much time do we have?
I don't know.
So a few things. So, and like I said, I consider myself in kind of two entities. So as just the pure artist entity, and I have one book of poetry that's published.
Can you tell us about that book?
It's called "And the Walls Came Tumbling."
Okay.
And
the Walls Came Tumbling.
And the Walls Came Tumbling. It is available at andthewallscametumbling.com.
Okay.
And it's a introspective collection of poems that speak about my experience. It's kind of biographical, but autobiographical, but it's really reflective, and it actually is one of those. If you read this book, it's gonna make you think a little bit and feel something. So,
Y'all need to buy that book.
So yeah, you have to. And so I'm working on the next one. The next manuscript is kind of done. It's pretty much done. So I'm looking forward to that happening. But also, I love theater. Theater is like one of my first loves, and so I'm working on a play right now. So Art Prevails Project partnered with New City Players, and we'll be doing in April at the Broward Center of Performing Arts, April 15th through the 25th.
Fantastic.
We'll be doing a show called A Love Like This.
Okay.
So make sure you guys check that out. And so with that, just doing more of that, I'm really looking forward. I'm so happy that we're kind of getting back into the idea of doing theater, right?
Absolutely.
I was
back on stage.
I was heartbroken
I
for so long. And so the idea that we can possibly get that back, and even whether it's outside and just being using ingenuity, right? We're fueling ingenuity.
It's the new Darius.
Right. And so being able to do that. So I have a lot of theatrical works that are in the pipeline. They're ready to have some things, like a full musical that I have.
You are so ready to go.
Ready to go.
He's
And
ready
so
to go.
it's ready. We'll make it happen.
Well, thank you for that. I just want to ask you one more thing. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, where would they reach out to you?
All right. So you can reach out to me via Instagram at Darius Daughtry. And same thing on Facebook at Art Prevails Project. You can reach out in every way. And then, info at DariusDaughtry.com.
Okay.
And websites, just Google my name, Darius
Just
Daughtry.
Google it.
And you'll see my face. You see my face.
Oh, we have a question.
Okay, cool.
I was going to let you go, but we have a question.
All right.
So hang on one second. So
Cool.
I got to tell you something. You're just a joy to speak with.
Oh, I
and,
love it. This
I
is
know you
great.
could talk all day. And so could I.
Okay, cool. So the question I was just showing the question was more about Art Prevails Project. So
Okay.
Art Prevails Project. So it's a creative collective, I like to call it,
Okay.
and it is we're a group of artists and teaching artists, and so we do everything from full theatrical productions and pop-up performances. We do art education, right, where we go into whether it's schools, community spaces, and we're teaching creative writing, poetry,
Wow.
visual art, dance, music production. Like varied art, because the whole goal of it is to create equitable access to the arts.
Where's this located?
All over.
Okay, so you're all over.
We all
Okay.
over. We all
So it's
over.
a project.
Right? So yeah, so
Okay.
the idea that is that because we talked about the idea that a lot of schools don't have proper funding for
We know
arts
that.
programs, and it depends upon what areas you're in, right? So there's some
Right.
inequity that exists, and so what we are about is helping create that equitable access to whether it is the programming itself. So we bring a theatrical production to your backyard, right around the community, or we bring this class to your space, right? So that's what our project is.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is an amazing program. Did you have one more thing to ask? We have another question for you. You can.
Creators in quarantine.
Careers in quarantine.
Creatives in quarantine.
Creatives in quarantine.
That's not really a question. It's a
What is it?
phrase.
Okay.
So in quarantine, I don't know. I guess I think what's interesting about quarantine. So for me, and it's a combo I have with a lot of creatives, during quarantine, is like at first, there was nothing. I was told I was out of sync. I wasn't motivated or inspired to do anything. I was just I'm like everybody else. I'm a human being, and I'm just kind of processing it all.
Right.
And then what's interesting, because we were in quarantine, and I was right around the time we were seeing all the protests and things happening, and this social unrest that this bubbling up in the country. And I felt like, I should be writing something, but it's like at first nothing was really coming out, and I took a step back and just let it come and let the things kind of work their way through me in order and let the creativity manifest itself in the way that it wanted to, and not try to force it. At the same time, I do feel that as artists, we have responsibility to do something, say something that is important, that is impactful, that could potentially transform individuals and also collectives. So I think during quarantine, you saw a lot of that. And what's great about that is that we saw a lot more people doing things online that allowed there to be more access, allowed this art, their creativity to be seen in ways that they hadn't been before.
So, you say out of darkness comes light, and things, and, so it looks like you have created some really fantastic and amazing things during a dark time. So we thank you, Darius Daughtry, for being here. We love you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, my friend. Keep up the good work. Be safe, be well. Thank you. So now we're going to have our second guest, who is a fantastic artist. His name is, and I'm going to bring him up on stage, Jared Corey. Welcome, Jared. Woo! Hi.
Hey, Jody, how you doing?
I'm well. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here.
So
Thanks
I'm
for
so
having me.
glad. Thanks for being here today, and just thank you for just being you. I've got a lot of things to say with Jared. Not only is he a friend, he was one of the artists at La Soul's Capital Arts, and he was there for 4 months. So we really enjoyed that. He was able to expand his collectors, if you will, and his viewerships and through marketing and such. But let's talk about a little bit, how are you doing and what's going on with you right now?
Good. I'm doing good. Staying busy,
Okay.
creating.
I know.
Always.
Been watching.
It's
Been
important
watching.
to me because if I go a few days without doing something,
I don't think I've seen you put your
even through quarantine.
anything
through
down.
everything,
That's
it's been
fantastic.
good.
So how have you been? Well, first of all, Jared is a visual artist. He paints, he draws, he does all that stuff. He's also an educator at MacArthur High School. He's an arts teacher, arts instructor. And how long have you been there?
This is my 7th year.
7th year.
Yep.
So I've had the opportunity to actually go to the school and watch Jared. I'm going to go back to the education in a minute, but let me ask you
Okay.
some personal stuff first.
Sure.
So let me, as an artist, so, as we were talking a few minutes ago, how did you, when all this kind of lights went out, if you will, how did you pivot during the pandemic?
Honestly, I was creating. I
Right.
was home. I had all the time
Right.
in the world to create, and even though everybody it's a tough time for everyone, but people are still buying art. Like
They're
more
buying
so
art.
even.
They're
I think
buying art.
last year was very frustrating in so many ways, but also my best year as an artist
Right.
because I guess people are need to have some kind of creative outlet, so they're buying art.
I think that some of those reasons are because people were staying home and looking online, and they were searching, and they were, wanted to be inspired by things. And I think you're definitely one of the inspirations that people have looking at your art.
I appreciate that.
Let me ask you this. So you've been an artist for how long? How long have you been doing professional, like being an artist, selling your art?
Around 2012.
Okay. So when you started that, were you a teacher yet then?
No, I wasn't.
So you weren't a teacher?
I started as a substitute teacher.
Okay.
I got into teaching because when I first started doing the art, I always knew that that's what I wanted to do since I was a kid. I knew I wanted to do something with art. I didn't know in what aspect I would do it in, but and then I really just started teaching because I wanted to, have some kind of steady income to where I didn't have to take every single job, to pay my bills. And I ended up just loving it more than I could have ever expected.
So you just worked it. You kept busy.
It actually just kind of like
busy.
Came together. Like
wow,
that.
That's fantastic. So let me ask you something about your marketing and how a lot of artists will want to know, how do you market yourself? Because, this is a tough call. A lot of artists, they're out there, they want to do things in person. Now, suddenly they're not in person so much. How do you choose the best way to market your work? Online, social media, things like that?
Well, I'm very selective about the projects that I take, and that's key, because it's just like anything else. If you're passionate about what you're doing, I think you do it better. Because if you're, if I'm doing a landscape, for example, which I would rarely ever do, that's not really something I'm into doing, So now at this point, I'm more selective about the projects that I choose. And as far as marketing, content is key. Just continue to flood the market with work, with,
Any tips or like hints on how, an artist can kind of grow their followers, if you will?
Well, it's really a matter of the right people seeing.
Okay.
So you want to, again, you want to hashtags, and if we're talking about social media, hashtags and stuff like that will help, but also doing, I'm never going to say don't do passion projects, because you need that. I feel like any artist, you need that avenue, but relevant and subject matter that is, appealing to a larger crowd. The more, if you're doing subject matter that's going to appeal to the most people, it definitely helps.
Absolutely.
But it's really about just putting out content, and you never know when the right person sees it.
So tell us what actually you do. I mean, I know you're a visual artist, and we know that. Tell everyone who's watching, kind of what you do. Like what are you doing? Are you drawing first? Are you painting? Because for one thing, Jared, he does a lot of murals. He does, and I got to say something. This is one of the most amazing things that he does to me, and it blows my mind. He will do this entire wall piece, mural, if you will, on a dry erase board, and then erase it. I can't even get my hands around that. So just tell me about some of your processes.
It's funny about that is, I'll spend months at times doing paintings sometimes, and then I do those whiteboard drawings quick and for fun, and that's what really kind of blew me up. It's just the right people seeing it, like Sports Center. Dwayne Wade posted the one that I did.
We got the heat in the house, right?
And the school was even saying, you could keep the board if you want, we could take it down. Said, and
you erased it, Jared.
That's kind of the fun of doing it, is the kids know as I do it. First of all, they love watching it.
Right.
They got their phones. They love it. It's just something to bring to the classroom that's different and unique. And erasing it is tough sometimes.
Oh.
It is tough. It's tough. But that's also kind of the fun of it, is knowing it's short-lived.
Right.
And the kids' reaction when I erase it, it's pretty funny too.
So that's some of your art. You do a lot of paintings, right? So you do paintings. Do you do drawings, pencil drawings? How do you start that? Or you just...
I like to do pencil and colored pencil, but at this point, people want paintings most. I think for me, at least,
and your murals
paintings. And I'll start with I draw it out first.
Okay.
Excuse me, I draw it out first, but then I think my favorite medium to use, or I think what I would be best at, is probably oil paint, but it takes the longest. So I've been kind of mostly acrylic lately.
Okay. Okay,
So-
fantastic. So let's talk, I have a question here I'm going to ask you in a minute, but let's talk about your students for a minute. So what grade do you teach?
I teach high school.
Okay.
9 through
Ninth
12, but mostly the upperclassmen.
Okay, so how are your artists? How are your
Kids,
students?
They're ridiculously good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so proud. The thing is I'm impressed. I'm
know.
easy to amuse.
Yeah.
I'm hard to impress. And these kids I teach 2 AP classes. Put it this way. In the past 4 years, 3 out of those 4 in the superintendent's art show, which is you have to be in AP art. That's all the best artists in Broward County. In the past 4 years, 3 out of 4 years, my students have won first place. In the fourth year, they won third. One year, a kid got best in show, and another girl got first place.
Wow.
So those kids all won a scholarship.
Wow. And that's says a lot right there. You are literally their mentor, their support system, their teacher, their educator. I've actually been in your school. I helped judge the art competition,
fun, wasn't
which
it?
was a lot of
That
fun.
was fun.
And these students are just so high caliber of artists already. I mean, it just blows my mind.
Yep.
They're fantastic. I have a question that came in from one of our viewers. How can artists cultivate community during a time of social distancing? So, in other words, how are you grouping? How are you getting people together? How are you talking about how can we come together and create a project? Or what do you do when you have to be social distanced? Is there, I mean, it's not an easy question, but
it's kind of tough. It's tough because I think what makes me effective as an educator is the hands-on.
Right.
Being able to work with each kid individually, because what makes, a lot of these kids don't even know that they're a good artist.
Right.
They have no idea until you give them a project that pertains really to them. Like, I don't ever sit and talk to the full class. Usually when I'm in class, I'll sit and get to know each student and see what kind of works for them, which is right now, it's very difficult to do that.
I can imagine.
But the key is to just try and keep relevant material, stuff that, if a kid's not in a classroom, in an art class, if they don't know any better, it's hard to get them to care at all.
Right. That was kind of I was leading up to my next question, which was like, how are the students reacting? I mean, are you in person live? Are you virtual with them, or kind of a hybrid?
I'm at, a little bit of both.
Mhm.
I'm at school, and there's I usually have like 60 kids in my class, and now I have
Wow.
3, 5
Wow.
maybe.
Really?
And it's
Okay.
culture shock.
So what are
Way
they
different.
saying? What are the kids, how are they reacting to the new normal? Or, how are they, thank you. What do they think about your class? And what do they think about being when they were at home and when they were live?
I'm still getting really good work, excuse me. I'm still getting really good work, which keeps me motivated with it. But the amount of kids that's really into it I've never
Right.
seen anything like this. Like, usually my class will be, oh, hey, we're having a hard time getting through to this kid. We're going to put him in art.
Right.
Work with him. Okay, I got you.
Right.
It's a little more difficult to do that now.
I have another question. So we all know that like the arts gets put on the back burner every time, every day for many, many years, and even more so now. The funding has gone down on a local, state, national level for artists, for teaching artists, for arts organizations. And it's really just it brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
What do you think about, do you have an opinion on like, I'm not going to try and point out your school. I'm just saying, what do you think about the support of the arts in the public education system? Or, I'm sure as an artist, you want more things, you want, more support for your classes.
I can't really speak for the whole school system, but I will say this, and this is no offense to, art programs in general, but usually a typical art class in high school is BS. It's paint a color wheel, draw a sphere, draw a banana, define art principles, stuff from a textbook, And when I took over the job at MacArthur, I told them, like, I'm never going to crack a textbook. That's not going to show. The kids they're not going to learn from that, or they're not going to care.
Right.
So the way that I approach it is I teach them a technique. Look, this is how you blend with a color pencil. This is how you shade with a pencil. This is how you paint. I show a technique and let the kids draw and paint what they want. And luckily, my school, I will speak highly, they do not micromanage. They let me do I think they really care about results.
I think they do, and you can tell by your classroom, you can tell by your students, you really have this resonating impact on these kids and moving forward. What would you tell these kids to do as they're seniors or graduating? They're looking forward to possibly an arts career, making their passion into a business. What would you say when you send them off? How are you,
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing I tell them is it doesn't matter what you do it for. If you write poetry, you paint, you play an instrument, any type of that creative outlet is good for you. Don't ever stop. And some of these kids are so talented. And I tell them, like, amazing. Talent without hard work is nothing. But if you want to anything that is exceptional, it takes work, but anyone can do it. It's just a matter of knowing what you're worth and putting yourself forward, doing it. Yeah. And practicing. Like, I'm still trying to figure things out for myself but I work every day at it and I do it really because I love it.
You do love it.
It's in me to do it.
It shows in your work.
Not many people get to say that. And that's a good advice to kids is not many people have the luxury of doing something they love every single day. And if you do, if you can, then why do anything else?
Hey, I mean, it shows, your passion shows, and it shows all of you. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
So what would you say to someone to convince them that the arts and arts education is crucial for our world, for our communities, for our society?
Well, the best thing about art is it could be, there's a select few kids in a math class that will be an all-star. They could do something with that. With art, it could be anyone. It's anyone. And I've had kids that, had straight F's or never cared about school. And just by showing them something that they just really facilitating, opening up a box to something a kid already has, and one that just makes them feel good about coming to school, about doing something that, they have it in them to do. And when I know that I've gotten through by bringing that out of a kid, it matters a lot.
That's amazing. And I got to say, one of the things that's really amazing if the schools are doing this more and more is the arts integration. They're integrating the arts programs with math, history, things like that. And I think an art class like yours really can motivate them to learn other realms, other, things that they need to, STEM.
Creativity separates you in anything you do. I mean, anything you do, if you do it different than everyone else. And that's something that I push for, which is another thing that it really is beneficial for kids to look, kids are different. And I promote them to be different. And that's why the assignments, if you don't like the outdoors, why would I have you do a landscape? You know what I mean? And that's really going back to what we were talking about the kids being home. There's the assignments I do is a little, it's hindered because a lot of the stuff, as we're talking about, what the school board provides, I buy most of the supplies just because, the better the supplies, the better the school. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. It makes me feel good to do it. But with the kids at home, you can't ask a class of Art 1 students to go buy paint. Right. It's just really not plausible.
See, there's another thing where the funding comes into play. I think, unbelievably that, that the arts gets pushed to the back of the line when it's literally will help those students, those kids with every one of their courses. I think it's really important. And as you're saying, it really helps them kind of blossom and to open up to all these different subjects possibly. For sure. And which helps, and that's where your creative mind comes into play, which helps you understand other things and be open to other things.
And I've had numerous students tell me the reason they come to school is for art class.
Right.
And, that gives them a space to just be themselves and create. And, a lot of the kids there's no better feeling when you see a kid that had no idea that they're really good. And some of them, you've seen the kids work, they're ridiculously good.
They are.
And all I do, I put them on Instagram, just little things like that.
I wish I had an art teacher like you when I was growing up.
It's important. And I really enjoy that.
So let me ask you a question. So I don't know that you've done or gotten a lot of grant funding and things like, well, it's been the most successful venue of funding for you. Where have you got when you were starting and how have you found that you've gotten support or help from the outside?
Actually,
private grants, whatever.
One of the Leo program at my school, they applied for a grant and we got accepted for it. And they just came in and told me I answered I'm a mark in the school. Anytime the kids are trying to sell something or doing something for a project, they're going to come into my class, you know? I support my kids. I love it.
Fantastic.
But yeah, they're like, hey, by the way, you know, those questions you answered the other day, we got a grant for you.
That's awesome.
So, but that, I mean, I can't.
I mean, that's proud papa right there. I mean, you're like, wow, this is great.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and
cool.
you're
And it
really
just loaded up on
showing your
supplies,
passion
but-
for the kids and for your school and for arts education.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a couple other things. Like what are you doing now to promote yourself? Are you doing anything? What are you doing right this second? Like what piece are you working
I'm
on?
actually
What are you
working
doing?
on a few different
Okay.
ones. I'm doing a mural at a house where I'm doing 2 football players, 2 that I actually like. So again,
Okay.
being able to be selective, I love what I paint at. These
Right.
days, I'm not going to do anything that I don't want to
Right.
do, you know. But I'm doing that, and I'm doing another commissioned portrait at the same time. So
That's
I'm always
amazing,
working
Jared.
on something, but I've
It's-
actually really been enjoying doing these walls.
They're
I've been
amazing.
getting a lot of murals lately, and I like it. It's actually, believe it or not, quicker than doing canvas.
And they're just,
You can use usually I'm here.
I know.
I'm here with a baby brush. Now it's all about expanding. And that's something I would also tell kids is, look, no matter how good you are at something, there's always somebody better and there's always somebody different. And those are the people you need to look to. You know, never close yourself off, because it's all about getting better and opening new doors, not only for yourself, but for, you know, collectors, people that buy your work.
that's
And I
fantastic.
tell the kids, look, you know, getting your foot in the door, it's not very easy.
But that's really great advice
It takes
to keep-
time. It takes
keep
effort.
working.
And, you know, if I had a show, say when I was first starting, I had a show, I sold no work. I didn't get discouraged. I got motivated.
Right.
Like, okay, well, I guess I need to get better then.
So you keep on pushing, Jared. So let me ask, so how can someone reach out to you if they wanted to A, look at your art, B, do a commission, do something?
Well, I would say
Do you have a-
Instagram. Instagram.
okay, what's your Instagram?
It's J Corey Artist.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. And y'all need to really look at his art. It's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, how do you spell your Instagram?
It's JCOREY Artist, all one word.
All right, that's fantastic. Well, you know what? I got to tell you something, Jared. You have been amazing. We love you. We love your work. We love that you're fantastic and such a supportive teacher with the Broward County school system. And we really thank you for being here today. It's
I
been a pleasure.
appreciate it. Thank you
And
so
you're
much
a
for
friend.
having me.
You're a friend and an amazing artist. So thank you.
The feeling's
Congratulations.
mutual. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you
It's a
so much,
pleasure talking
Jared.
to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So now, thank you to Jared. I'm going to bring up Miss Erica. She's going to talk to us about the grants division in the Broward Cultural Division. So, you know, as I said earlier, the grants process has changed a lot due to our fantastic executive director of Phil Dunlap. So give us a little bit of information about the grants. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
All
I'm
right,
good.
fantastic.
So I'm Erica Mohan. I'm the Grants Management Specialist at the Broward County Cultural Division. So one of our new grants programs is called the Artist Support Program, where we're offering $3,000 to individual artists who live and work in Broward County.
Wow.
So the funds are meant to be flexible. So they can be used for the creation of your work. They can be used for an exhibition, a performance, a film screening. It's really up to you, as long as you provide some type of project to the community of Broward County.
Wow.
So
So how can they look into this? Where do they need to go to sign up?
just go to broward.org/arts, click on our funding tab, and you'll see a copy of our artist support manual. And also we're offering a artist support application workshop here at this circuit in
Okay.
Sistrunk on May 14th. And also virtually on May 12th, there will be 2 workshops. So if you want to RSVP for that, find more information, please go to our website, broward.org/arts.
So you guys, this is a fantastic grant opportunity. So there's no reason not to do it.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
So-
If you're an artist, contact
Get in
me
there.
or
Get in there.
apply. Please apply.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so in closing, I'm going to bring Taina back up, and we'll just have a couple closing comments. But this has been a really fantastic experience today. So I know we're running on time here, so I don't want to go over. But Taina, how's it going, my friend?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank you so much for joining and stopping by for our second episode of Fueling Ingenuity, Creative Industries and the Creative Economy, which is presented by the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce Cultural Council in partnership with Broward Cultural Division and Destiny Sistrunk. You know, thank you all for being here. Jody, you were a wonderful moderator. Thank you to our wonderful guests, Darius Daughtry and Jared Corey.
Woo! Absolutely.
To artpreneurs who are invested in the community and they're doing the work. So just a big shout out list right now. Thank you to ARC Labs. Thank you to Destination Sistrunk, Dickey Consulting, Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce Cultural Council, Jody, of course, I already said that, Grace Cool Durfee, and to you for watching. I want to say, also thank you. I was definitely flustered earlier, so I appreciate you.
You know what?
For showing grace.
And I want to thank everybody too, and stay tuned for the next one. This is a live stream series for 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank the Chamber again for allowing us to do this. All our guys, we've got tech guys here. I don't quite know your names, but you're amazing guys. Thank you so much. You're doing a great job. And so am I good? We're good to go. You guys come back. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun. We love you all. Hang in there. Be safe.
See you next time.
Peace. All right.